Hello and welcome to part 5 in our series of making your acoustic guitar playing more interesting. Today we're going to talk about a technique called Travis picking. This is a technique which is named after a man called Merle Travis. He did this with a thumb pick, and I'm not particularly good with a thumb pick, as I mentioned back in lesson 3, so that's not something I'm going to talk about today. And this is the modern style of this, which is developed by people like Chet Atkins and many other great guitar players, which took Merle Travis's original ideas and developed them a little bit further. And this is a technique which is really popular in folk and ragtime and blues, along with many other genres of music, including country. Now, this is very similar in our concept to our Carter picking, which is back in lesson 3. However, instead of playing the melody on the low strings, we're going to flip it and we're going to play our melody on the high strings. So the first step in being able to play this stuff is to just get used to playing the bass line. So we're going to start with our D chord. And what we're going to do is we're going to use just our thumb. We're going to play the D string, and then G, D, G. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then our next step is we're going to add what's called a pinch. What we're going to do is it's called a pinch because we're going to pinch our fingers together like this. And we're going to do the D string and the high E string at the same time on beat 1. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to add some notes in between. So we're going to start off with our pinch, and then we're going to play the G with our thumb, just as we did before. And then our index finger is going to play the B string. Then we're going to come back down to the D string with our thumb, and then we're going to do the middle finger, which is the top note of the pinch, and then the middle. And what I mean by the middle there is we're doing the middle part of the chord. Okay? So lots of people think of this like outside, inside strings, outside strings, inside strings. So you do outside together, then inside, and then outside separate. And we get 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So our thumb is still playing on the beat, and it's still playing our bass line from example 1. We get. So not too difficult, but sounds really interesting. You can also add a shuffle rhythm to this, and you get something that sounds just like this. What we're doing there is for our eighth notes, which are on the and, so we're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, we're dragging those notes a little bit later. So we go 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. We can also add in our root fifth bass movement from our previous lessons we talked about in lessons 1, 2 and 3. So we can start off with our pinch, and then for beat 3 we can move down a string like we did before. So down. So now our bass line is. Who needs a bass player? Shuffle. And of course this can all be applied to 5-string chords and 6-string chords as well. So for a C chord, all we need to do is move everything for our right hand down. So we're in these middle 4 strings, our A, D, G and B strings. So now we're going to have our thumb is going to be on the A string. It's also going to jump over to the D string, and it's going to take care of our E string for us. So the thumb's going to do all the heavy lifting of those bottom 3 strings. We then have our middle finger is going to do the B string, and our index finger is going to do the G. And we do the same idea as before. Just play exactly what you did before, move all your fingers down. We're going to do this with a C chord. Or with a shuffle. And of course we can do this for our 6-string chords, but we have to change our bass line a little bit because we want to keep some continuity in our hand position. So once again, our thumb is going to do the E, A and D strings, and our index finger is going to do G, and our middle finger is going to do B, but we're going to change the order of the bass line a little bit. We're going to do the E string on beat 1, and then we're going to do the D string, and then A string, and then D string. E string, D, A, D. I'm just doing this on a G chord. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. You might say, well, why do we bother? But we want to keep some continuity between these notes. We want them all to be as close together as possible. I mean, when we change chords, we want to hear all those notes blend together. So we don't want to hear. We might want to, but not in these examples. We don't want to have the notes jump around too much. We want to try to keep everything nice and consistent. Now we're going to put all of this together. We're going to do 2 bars of G, 2 bars of C, 2 bars of D, and then 2 bars of G to finish. It's going to sound like this. A little bit quicker. Once again, this can be played with a shuffle rhythm. Before we move on to our second variation, there is one little adjustment we can make if we have to play particularly quickly or if the chords are very, very difficult. We can leave out the and of 4, which is a note just before our chord changes. So we'd have 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Speed this up a little bit. Just buys you a tiny bit more time. For our second Travis picking variation, we're going to take our pinch, which is on beat 1, and we're going to move it back to beat 2, and it simplifies the first 2 beats a little bit. So for example, on our D chord, we're going to play the D string, and then we're going to pinch, just gives the whole thing a slightly different feel. And once again, of course, we can use this on our 5 and 6 string chords, playing it exactly the same way we did before. So for our 5 string chords, we'd have A, and then the D and the B together, E, B, D, G. That's for our C chord. And then for our G chord, we're going to take the same chord sequence we played before and we're going to put it all together. We're going to go for our 2 bars of G, 2 bars of C, 2 bars of D, and 2 bars of G. This gives the whole thing a slightly different sound. So that is the end of today's lesson on Travis picking. Please do let me know how you get on with this. You can connect with me through Facebook by following the links below, or you can subscribe to this channel and comment and do all that stuff. Let me know if I'm doing a good job so I keep doing these videos. We've got plenty more in store. Hopefully you find this interesting. Hopefully you find it enjoyable. Get practicing and we'll see you again soon.